Hello my friends, I am so glad you're here. We have some exciting newness to talk about today from Too Faced. We've got the big Natural Lust eyeshadow palette, also have Cocoa Contour, and the little bronzer compact that also kind of goes along with the Natural Lust line. So when I saw these three new elements to Too Faced collection come out on Ulta's website, I jumped on them as soon as I possibly could and got them in, have been playing with some different looks, and I feel like I'm ready to give a review to you here today. Even though we have only these three products to go over, they do run the gamut in terms of there's something I really like, there's something I'm kind of meh on, and there's one thing that I really wouldn't recommend. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the application of all of this stuff and kind of give you my review as we go. I'll be comparing to different products in Too Faced line, the Natural Love palette, other like face palettes that they have, and just laying it all out there for you, my reviews on these products. So thank you so much for being here, and let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to be showing in my application is this Natural Lust bronzer, and it says it's a satin dual tone bronzer. It is rather big compared to the standard size of a Too Faced bronzer. I'll hold up Sun Bunny here so you can see the difference. There's 0.35 ounces in Sun Bunny, and there's 0.63 ounces in this, so a lot more product. And you can see this kind of soft bronzer that does have that satiny finish, and then with the peacock design here, we have a very soft, kind of barely there shimmery beige powder, a little bit of like a golden beige. I'm a little concerned that that might come off a bit dark on the fairest of skin tones if you're trying to use that for real brightening or highlighting. I'll show you what these look like on my skin, and something I noticed right off the bat when I was playing with this is that, you know, there's such a nice design here, and I think they've pressed it in such a way that it's very firm and you're not going to have a bunch of powder kicking up, and I think that may be to maybe maintain the design that's been stamped in there. I don't know, I just don't pick up a lot of product on my brush, and I overall, like, I can build this to look like something on my skin, but I really am kind of scrubbing my brush on the product and I'm building it up on my face. Scent-wise, it actually smells just slightly coconutty to me. Nothing super strong. I feel like I've really got to be looking for the scent in this one. But I feel like it's the kind of product to keep adding, and I'm kind of like, what are you doing exactly? Like, I keep putting my brush back in. I can see product on the brush, but I think it's just going to be a very, very subtle type bronzer. And I will pop on a little bit of this lighter shade, just kind of on the tops of my cheeks. I'm not sure if you can even really see the sheen. Any sort of glow coming from that is so subtle. I wouldn't really see that as a highlighter, especially if you're into very glowy highlighters. That probably doesn't register on your glow scale. But to me, this is a gorgeously packaged product. I think it's just beautiful to look at from the outside. It looks pretty in the pan, but as far as functionality, like, it's not doing quite as much as I would like to see. For me, I get a much more satisfying bronze from really any of the other Too Faced bronzy products. If you like a little bit of a glow in your bronzer, I think Sun Bunny is a great option. It does give you that split pan idea there, and I think that's beautiful on the skin. But the Peacock bronzer, which it's actually called Natural Lust bronzer, but I will forever name that the Peacock bronzer, it's not doing a ton for me. Now we're going to move on and really try to do some contouring here with the Cocoa Contour palette. So this whole concept isn't super new. I remember when Cocoa Contour first came out, and it was more in their old school kind of cardboard box design packaging. And how many pans of product were in there? I think 4. Well, now they've taken a 100% matte approach to this. I do really like the new direction they're going palette-wise with their kind of medium to smaller palettes. They're very solid. There's a nice weight to them. They feel very luxurious and high-end. And then I just love the appearance of the product on the inside. I remember seeing that online and thinking, ooh, that just makes me want to try it. You know, not a great reason for wanting to try something, but I love how these look like individual chunks of chocolate almost. And much like the Peacock product, these are very firmly pressed powders. You're not going to be sticking your brush into these and seeing a lot of powder kicking up or anything like that. But I do feel they deliver a little bit more color-wise. A couple things that I really like about this palette, I like the light and the medium highlight. The medium highlight is a little more yellowy, as you can see. I'll sometimes bounce back and forth between the two. I think they make nice like under eye setting powders. I think they add a little coverage to this area actually. I put them on and I really do feel like they're doing something. The scent on this now, it's chocolatey, but it's not as good as the chocolate bar palettes. It seems a little more, I don't want to say bitter, but it's like not quite as sweet smelling. I don't know, just saying, just an observation. It's also not like really knocking me over with scent as soon as I open it, but I think anybody who uses this will notice some amount of scent. Now the deep highlight here, deeper skin tones, you've got this kind of like peachy type powder here. For me, this can actually function as a blush on my skin tone, a real true peach blush. It's not my favorite like look on me, and again, it's not really meant to be a blush, it's meant to be a deep highlight. But I'm just throwing that out there for added versatility. But we're now gonna go down to these contour shades, and I've got my Moda contour brush. I ended up finding this like Ross, and it's just a little larger size than my highlight and glow brush, which looks the very same like color scheme and everything. But I really like this. It's a nice kind of compact, really does the job contouring brush. And I like to kind of go between medium and light here. I do think light is deep enough to show on my skin, but I like the addition of medium because I feel like I get where I want to be a little faster. And I kind of take these tones around my hairline. Again, you're putting your brush into the product, you're not seeing a lot of powder kicking up. They just seem to be very firm powders. I can go into the deep, and that's, you know, really your fast track to seeing something on your skin. But I feel like when they made this palette, they made it all matte, and that puts it in a very specific kind of zone. You know, you're getting one certain kind of finish, one certain kind of function of products, and I feel like I tend to gravitate more toward the palettes that give you a little more finish variety in a palette like this, like a shimmery shade that might make an amazing highlight, for example, or even a color that really doubles as a gorgeous blush. I'm kind of thinking about my Sigma Sculpt palette here, which I love. It's got 3 mattes in the bottom, 3 shimmers at the top, and it's such a versatile palette. You're not getting one of those nice kind of matte all-purpose powder type colors in there, but it just stretches itself a little further in terms of the looks I can get on my skin. I'm gonna take a little bit of deep contour and get this going here in the cheekbone area. And you know, I feel like I really do get an effect from these powders, much more so than the Peacock bronzer we were just using. Like I'm not really struggling to see this stuff. And I think the tones here, really nice kind of cool tones in your light and medium options. And I think fair skin would really enjoy that. I'm also taking it kind of under the jawline, further sculpt myself here a little bit. So having applied all of this, I'm feeling very matte now. I had on a pretty matte base to begin with. I have on my Peach Perfect foundation, which I like. The Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer, which I love. I've bumped up to the nude shade, which is a little bit lighter than the light beige that I used to use. And I love the coverage of this. And it really is a good retouching concealer as well. So if you're through a good chunk of your day and you just feel like you need some more even and perfected looking skin, like on the under eye, a tiny dot of this blended out actually looks beautiful on top of makeup. It's crazy, but I had tested around the same time I was really working with this. I was also testing the Hourglass Retouch product, and this I prefer so much more. It makes so much more of an impact, so I love that. And then I've got my Peach Perfect powder on top. So those 3 things I think gave me a really perfected mattified base. And then you go on top with this matte contour palette, and everything's just looking very, I think, clean and even. But in the scope of Too Faced face palettes, I guess there was something I felt like I needed to point out given like past preferences that I've shared with you. This Sugar Peach palette, like this is what I mean by having a little more versatile palette. That's gonna appeal to me more personally. Like I love this Peach Honey shade that's kind of like a glowy bronze. This might be one of the most beautiful highlights that I have in my collection with Peach Petal. And then you've got a couple of blushes in here. Now this is a super glowy palette, but it does look gorgeous on the skin. Like I have loved that from before the holidays and beyond. Another great option that they have made is their Natural Face palette, and this is probably the most versatile thing. You've got your Somewhere Like Matte Verging on Satin bronzer here with Sunny Honey. 3 really pretty blushes, including this gorgeous one with a little sheen that reminds me of Pink Leopard. If you like fused all those different tones in Pink Leopard together, like that's the kind of look you get with that blush, and I love it. And then a couple of highlights here. My one critique on the highlights would be, I think it would have been cool if we just had like the highlight shade that's in here, maybe in for this one. This is kind of a pinky highlight, and this is very golden, but it's a pretty palette. It's a very versatile face palette. And the tone of the bronzer is such that I can definitely contour with it and kind of come out with the same effect contour-wise that I get with this. But I've got all these other things that really interest me, like blush and highlight highlighter too. And for my friends out there who love the glow above all else, this may be like the perfect thing for you. Cocoa Contour, I think my bottom line with this is, yes, it can do the job, but it's a very specific palette that does not offer like glowy variety. If you want a contour palette that offers a variety of finishes, look to the Sigma Sculpt and ask yourself, do I really want something that's only going to be matte contouring type shades, or do I want those blushy options that Too Faced is doing a beautiful job with in other palettes? So that's where I'm at with this. If I ran out of this magically tomorrow, I wouldn't be compelled to repurchase it. I think it turns out to be just a really basic matte contouring palette. So I might as well show my blush and highlight going on today. I'm going to use a little bit of Peach Pop here as my blush from the Sugar Peach palette. Really glowy with kind of a hint of pink. It's got kind of a golden shift coming through it. I might bop on a little bit of the Sugared Peach shade here. A little bit of peach. And then this is a wet dry palette, and this is so much fun to use wet, this highlight, if you have a damp sponge handy. But I'm just going to use my highlight and glow brush and just show you this going on. So gorgeous. It's a beautiful highlight. I just love it. Like, I could see that highlight as being just a really successful single product from Too Faced if they released it that way. Now we're gonna move on to eyes. This is the part I've really been most excited about, the Natural Lust palette. If you were into that peacock exterior on the bronzer, you're in luck because we've got that. We've got little birdies. We've got beautiful floral print here. It's so spring-like, and then you pop it open and the shade selection really speaks to me. I actually feel like this palette is loaded with options, and I want to show it to you beside the Natural Love palette, which was the first palette that they did in this size and shape. I feel like this palette, which I love this one, is very like taupey overall with splashes of warmth and bronze, and then this one is kind of bronzy warm overall with splashes of taupe and a few more off the beaten path type colors that I'll point out. There is a stunning olive green in here. This is, it only takes a little bit, like you don't have to build and build for days to be able to see the green. Like you can just kind of lightly pop it on your lower lash line and you're like, okay, I see the green. It's called Temptation. Pinned down up here, of course, is a very special shade in this palette. It's a matte, it's vibrant, and it will put a fun twist on any look you do. Peacocking down here, a nice teal, a very like, I don't know, classy use of bluish color in your look. So many great transition shades, lots of opportunities to go kind of cool with your look. Ball and chain down here, Peep Show, kind of cool, a little bit silvery taupes, and then there's a lot of warmth. In fact, if there's one criticism I have on this palette, it's that they really went there with rose gold kind of shades, like the one called Sex Drive, On Fire, Flirty Pop, just like that, even Sassy Brassy. A lot of these kind of bronzy, hint of rose gold type shades where we could have used maybe a couple of those and then replace the others with something a little different, right? Because by the time some of these shades get buffed out on your eyes, they're looking a lot alike. But beyond that, I feel like it's a palette, because I've done several looks with this already. I feel like it's something where you can kind of dip in and do so many different combinations and not really make a mistake here. Like I've combined a really cool shade on my lid with more warmth in the crease, and actually thought that the combination of those shades was very beautiful. There is a fantastic black down here, a nice deep brown, a nice burgundy kind of brick red color. It's just an overall shade selection that really speaks to me, and I feel like the shimmers are not chunky or hard to control, and the mattes, as Too Faced mattes tend to be, are really, really pleasant to work with. So we're going to put together a look today. I'm going to take this shade called Fall Hard. There are, again, so many great kind of starting point crease colors in this palette, but this one is a little bit somewhere between mauve and khaki. And you know, like I said, I enjoyed the Natural Love palette a lot, and that definitely combines some elements and special shades from their Natural Eye palettes, and there's some beautiful things happening. But this palette, to me, the Natural Lust, just seems on another level in terms of richness. A little more depth of color, mostly a little more warmth of color, but yet you've still got plenty of cool look options too. And it's fun, like I said, to kind of blur the line between them and combine warm and cool shades. Next up, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do a little different look. I'm going to go really big with this color called Pin Down. It is a matte kind of berry shade. It's really pretty. And I'm gonna pat this all over the lid. Fuchsia might be the perfect word for this color because it just got that pinky quality, that berry richness, so fun to use. And I'm packing that here on the lid. I'm getting it right up to the crease, and then I do plan to apply more of it into my crease. Next, I think I'll go to a little of that shade and just work it in with my E25 brush, really going into my crease. Just kind of letting the berry blend in with the kind of mauve-y taupe. Then I think I might use a little Come and Get It up here, which is just kind of like a deeper version of Fall Hard. Kind of add some of that into my mix here as well. As that shade shears out, it almost looks a little warmer than you might expect. I'm going to try to finish this top part off by blending it out. I'm going to do a little bit of, this is Buff It Out, this light shade here. This color here all tied up at the bottom. The shimmer in this is unreal, by the way, and that is a great, like, that'll brighten your inner corner like none other. It'll be a beautiful face highlight if you want to. But what I want to do, kind of just a little splash around the inner corner, is take some gold. This is Oops-a-Daisy. I'm going to take some of this goldeny shade, and I think that would be beautiful, kind of pairing up with this berry. Whoops! Oh my goodness. See what I mean? Like just getting it really concentrated right at the inner corner and then just letting it kind of sprinkle over the top of the rest. Gold and fuchsia are so pretty together. And I think what you'll find with this palette, if you get it, just the wearable color combinations, you know, the little pops you can get, but yet I'm not uncomfortable wearing any of these shades, like all over my lid in a really full-on way. None of them make me uncomfortable. And just different combinations that it's hard to make a mistake with. Even combining different undertones of shades, you know, it's fun. Lower lash line, I think I'm going to go back to pin down again. At least a little of this shade. I'm just applying it with a smudge brush, and it's looking a little less like full-on pinky fuchsia this way. I might add just a little more of my berry right here. Sometimes when you add one shade, then you're like, well, I don't want you to overtake the look, Mr. Gold color. Keep a little fuchsia in here. So one of several great shadow looks that I've been able to create with this palette. I'm going to finish the look with a little mascara. But yeah, it was easy to do. The shades are really great to work with. So I'm going to finish up and I'll be right back. Here's the finished look. I did a little winged liner and just mascara top and bottom. I also went in the lower inner rim with a light liner there. Not to bring down the mood or anything, but I had a rough night last night. My cat's sick. There were tears. I can't talk about it anymore. I'll cry again, but I needed the light liner in the lower inner rim today. I found a really great Too Faced lipstick to pair with this look. It's called Flight Risk, and it's one of their peach lipsticks. It's like a matte formula, but really creamy, really comfortable feeling on the lips, great scent as well. And I just love the pairing of that color with what we've got going on the eyes. I think as we went along, you probably got a real good feel for my thoughts on these new products. Packaging wise, they're just gorgeous. Everything is just really stunning. I think kind of the biggest meh ho-hum product here was the Natural Lust bronzer, just because it's a lot of work to get it to show up even a little bit on my skin, and I kind of would have liked if there was even more contrast with the lighter shade, like if that could have been even more glowy, maybe could have made more of an impact on the skin. But it's pretty to look at, like the packaging is gorgeous. It's just, in my opinion, not as good as Sun Bunny, which has been around for quite some time. Cocoa Contour, I think it's good for what it is, but it is a very specific product. It's 100% matte. You're not getting variety of finishes here. You're not getting like glowy highlights and blushes and other things like that, which there are other palettes where I think they're slaying the game, so to speak. The Sugar Peach palette, which I applied for my blush and highlight today, I think that's stunning. I also really like their Natural Face palette too. I think those offer just a little more variety. This, for what it is, I think it's fine. It's just not going to be that product with the X Factor type thing going on that makes me jump up and down and get really excited. Now, I am really excited about the Natural Lust eyeshadow palette. These shades are just, I've been having a lot of fun with this. I've been enjoying the different color combos that this has prompted, the combinations of warm and cool, the color splashes, be it olive or berry or dark teal. You could do a super dramatic look. You have all the dark mattes and even, you know, like colorful matte to throw into your look and really make an impact, and the contrast of that with the shimmers in all tones, very, very light ones, kind of medium ones, a few deeper shimmers in the mix as well. There's just a lot of ways to play in here, and you kind of know if these sorts of tones speak to you a lot. I kind of look at the palette almost half and half, and I see more cool, more soft looks, and then here you bring in the richness with these other 3 rows. A few more coppery shades in here than was absolutely necessary. You know, how many do we need? I do like that kind of color, but there's kind of a lot of it in here. But I'm really, really enjoying this so far, and even more than the original Natural Love palette. And just looks like I did today. I mean, this is my speed of look, right? I know there are plenty of really big dramatic takes we can do on eyeshadow looks and get it really like geometric looking, all kinds of approaches, but I, above all else, just love a really pretty eyeshadow look. I love when things just kind of look blended up to nothingness. I love like a subtle splash like we did with the gold here. I like doing things with my eyeshadow looks that don't necessarily come out and grab people before they even see my face. Like, I want the whole picture to be seen, and then maybe if we're having a good little chat, be like, oh, you got a little gold in there, that's really neat, you know? That's the level I like to play at with eyeshadow usually. But let me know your take. Have you seen this? Do you like it? Do you have it already? Love to get a discussion going in the comments section, and thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.